Hello, math crew, and welcome to math lesson number 18. Oh, we are moving through the topics. We're going to move that froggy over there and move in a blank slate. Okay, fresh whiteboard, something like that. All right, so today, mathematicians, we are going to practice multiplying with decimals. So I want to just take you back for a moment and remember regular multiplying. So if I had 72 groups of 4, okay, I could use just 2 arrows to make sure everybody has multiplied by everybody else. Okay, so the first arrow going at an angle, it looks like it would be multiplying 7 times 4, but it is not actually a 7, right? Because this 7 is in the tens place, this first arrow is actually multiplying 70 times 4. Okay, when we multiply by a number ending in a 0, we can cover up the 0. I don't know if Kirby can manage that. Oh, he's doing a terrible job. All right. So we'll cover up the 0 and then just do regular multiplying. So 7 times 4. Okay, you've all got multiplication charts taped in the inside of your math books. Okay, or you can skip count. Either way, 7 times 4 gives you 28. Okay, and then we put the 0 or zeros if we had to cover up more than one after the answer. Okay, the straight down arrow, okay, that gives us 2 times 4. That's nice and easy, that's just 8. Okay, so then we have to add those two up. So we had 280 for the first answer. Then we have 8. Okay, and this is where it's really important that we line up those answers on the right-hand side, right? So that when we add them up, we're actually adding things in the right columns. Okay, 0 plus 8, easy peasy. 8 plus 0, 2 plus 0. Okay, so 72 times 4 gives us 288. So if one of those numbers was a decimal, we're going to do the same multiplying just like usual. We're going to pretend that decimal doesn't exist. Okay, so we're going to do this arrow and that arrow. So we've got 70 times 4, which we already know is 280. We've got 2 times 4, which we already know is equal to 8. We put them in here. Again, still really important that we line them up on the right-hand side. And then we're going to do our adding. All of this is just exactly the same, pretending that decimal doesn't exist. Okay, now this is where things are going to get a little bit different. Okay, so now we go back to the question and we look to see how many digits in the question are to the right of a decimal point. So we can start at the decimal point and head right. Check down here, nothing, so there's just 1. All right, and then our answer needs to have the same number of digits to the right of the decimal point. So we start on the right, so we're going to have 1 digit, so the decimal point would go here. Right in there, okay? So 7.2 times 4 would be 28.8. Okay, now what if both of those numbers had a decimal? Okay, what if I was multiplying 7.2 times 0.4? Oh, we know anything times 0 is 0, so in our arrows we're still only going to do the over to the side arrow and the straight down arrow, and we're going to pretend those decimal points don't exist. So we're just going to multiply like usual, ignoring those. So I've got 70 times 4. Well, I'm getting pretty good at this. That's going to be 280. And I've got 2 times 4, which is going to be 8. I put them in here, lining them up on the right. I add them up. Okay, so now I again need to check how many digits are to the right of a decimal point in the question. 1 and 2. Okay, we have to check both numbers that are part of that question. So that means my answer needs to have 2 digits to the right of the decimal point. So we can hop in. We hopped 2 in the question, so we're going to hop 2 in the answer, and my decimal point is going to go right here. Okay. So let's do a few more together just to practice. And I might recommend that as we do one, maybe you pause the video and give it a try. Once we've written the question down, see if you can do it on your own, and then restart the video and compare your answer to the one we did, well, the one I'm doing here, together with you. Okay, so we're going to start with 46 times 0.2. All right. So the first 2 numbers we're multiplying. We've got 3, looks like a 4, but it's really 40 because it's in the tens place. So we've got 40 times 2. We cover up the 0. 2 times 4 is 8. Put the 0 after our answer. Straight down, 6 times 2, that one's 12. Okay, so our first line is an 80. Second line is a 12, and we've lined them up so that the right-hand side numbers match. Then we're going to add 0 plus 2 is 2, 8 plus 1 is 9. Okay, last thing we've got to do is figure out the decimal point. So I look in the question, and I see how many digits are to the right of a decimal point. So there's 1 hop here. So that means I'm going to need 1 hop going the other direction in my answer. So my decimal point is going to go here. So 46 times 0.2 is 9.2. So that would be like saying that I took 0.2 and I added 0.2 and 0.2 and 0.2 and 0.2 and 0.2 and 0.2 and 0.2 46 times, which would be incredibly painful, which is why multiplication is so much better, so much faster. Okay, let's try the next one. 5.1 times 7. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that decimal point, pretend it's not there. So going over this way, looks like a 5, but it's really a 50, and times a 7. Okay, so we cover up the 0, 7 times 5, 35, and then we have to put the 0 after the answer. So our first line is going to be 350, then straight down, 1 times 7 is 7, line it up on the right, add it up, add it up, add it up, add it up, and it's time to go decimal hopping. It hops once here, so it has to hop once here. So 5.1 groups of 7 is 35.7. Hopefully that's what you got as well. Okay, let's make it a little bit more complicated. What if I have 0.83 times 9? Okay, pause the video, you go try it. Come back and we'll compare. Okay, so we're going to pretend the decimal point doesn't exist, which means we don't need that 0. So we're just going to pretend that doesn't exist as well. So the arrow is going to be looks like 8 times 9, but this 8 is actually in the tens place, so it's going to be 80 times 9. Cover up the 0. 9 times 8, 72. Put the 0 back in after the answer. All right, straight down. 3 times 9, 27. Line them up so they're lined up on the right. Add them together. Oh, I forgot to put the adding sign up there. 0 plus 7 is 7. 2 plus 2 is 4. 7 plus nothing, 7. Ooh, 747. Fun playing. Alrighty. And then we look to see in the question how many digits are to the right of a decimal point. So I'm going to hop once, twice, no hops down there. So that means I need 2 hops in my answer going the other direction. So 0.83 times 9 is 7.47. Hopefully this is starting to seem super easy. You're getting back in the swing of this multiplying stuff. Let's do one more to practice. 2.5 times 0.4. Okay, so again, oops, we're going to do this arrow and that arrow. So going across this way, looks like a 2, but it's really 20 times a 4. Cover up the 0. 2 times 4, 8. Stick the 0 back in there. Okay, so 80 is going to be our first number. Straight down, we've got 5 times 4. That's 20. Put that in here. Then we've got to add those together. 0 plus 0, I like that math. 8 plus 2, 10. Okay, and now it's decimal point time. So in our question, let's go hopping once, twice. So that means in our answer, we have to go once, twice. And put our decimal point in here. All right, hopefully you've got the hang of it by now. Our math books do not have good places to practice for this, so we are going to use this page. Okay, so again, if you don't have a printer, don't panic. Just hit pause on the video and you can copy these questions down into your math notebook or just a piece of paper and you can solve the questions. If your parents do have a printer, I'll also send the file and they could print it out for you. You might still find that you need to write the questions in your notebook because there's not a lot of space on the worksheet. I would need a little bit more room to actually do the work. Okay, but either way, this is this week's work. The word problems down here. So if you are good, you can just keep going. If you'd like me to read the word problems, I'm going to read them now. Alani is the head baker of Patty Cakes Bakery. She uses 8.75 pounds of sugar each day making cupcakes. How many pounds of sugar would she use over 7 days? Okay, so you're going to be multiplying 8.75 times 7. The next one here, I-L. After the cupcakes are decorated, Alani packages them to be sold. Each cupcake costs $4.25. If a customer ordered 9 cupcakes, how much would it cost? So in this case, you would take 4.25 times 9. What's going to be really important that you add to your answer? Thinking about how much would it cost. There's going to be a symbol you're going to need to add to your answer to tell us what kind of money you're talking about. Okay, that's this week's work in a nutshell, or this lesson's work in a nutshell. So well done. Keep up the good work. Happy mathing. Let me know if you have any questions.